Sarah Burton enters its fourth year.
Plus, we're watching drought conditions across the area. The situation not improving. The latest in Skywatch Weather Center.
And researchers at Nissan are studying the brain waves of their Formula E race car drivers.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
This weekend marks 4 years since a Joplin woman disappeared, and while police are not actively searching for Sarah Burton, the missing persons case remains open. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Sarah Burton was last seen in Joplin on July 16, 2018. She was reported missing July 20th, and since then authorities have conducted searches across the 4 states on land and in the water, and they've come up empty, but hope remains. Officials continue to look for answers and believe there is someone out there who knows what happened. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Joplin Police Department. In Kansas, a Cherokee County judge sentences a man to prison for a 2019 attack. Authorities say 63-year-old James Hignite held a woman against her will at a rural location outside of Galena during a multi-day attack. Hignite pled guilty to 2 counts of aggravated battery and 1 count of aggravated domestic battery. He is sentenced to more than 10 years in prison. And a Pittsburgh man is sentenced in connection with a drive-by shooting in Pittsburgh in 2020. Authorities say they received a call from a woman when a car pulled up beside her. They say Dakota Schmidt started yelling at her and pulled out his gun. The car was shot out, but only the back window was damaged. Prosecutors charged Schmidt with aggravated assault and use of a deadly weapon. A judge sentenced him to 32 months in prison, but he will receive credit for time served. With temperatures expected to rise, the city of Joplin is opening its cooling centers, and there will be 3 locations in the downtown area that are now open. They're at City Hall at 602 South Main, the Health Department at 321 East 4th, and at the Public Safety Center. That's located at 303 East 3rd Street. Those centers will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Well, you'll definitely want to find a place to stay cool for sure, because it's going to be hot today and even hotter this week.
Yeah, this week is not looking good, and it's not looking good for our drought situation either, Tanya. Right now in our area, you can see there's a moderate, we've got abnormally dry to moderate drought, and out to our east, they're actually dealing with well, this may or may not be functioning properly. There's a good chance that this isn't working right, but drought conditions are not good, and it's going to stay dry. So this is what I want to show you too. This is a heat advisory. All the counties in orange until 8 o'clock tonight, and then our friends in Northeast Oklahoma, I wanted to show you, they are under an excessive heat warning. We're going to take a look at that because that runs also until 8 o'clock. We'll have more on your forecast here in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a heat wave in Europe is creating extreme temperatures and widespread wildfires across other parts of Europe. Scientists say it's all part of climate change caused by human activity. Now, wildfires raging across southwest France have scorched around 35,000 acres and forced more than 16,000 people to flee. In Spain, the scenes seem similarly apocalyptic. Neighboring Portugal remains on high alert after fires were fanned by drought that's hit at least 96% of the country, and a heat wave reaching a record of nearly 117 degrees. And now in Britain, the country's bracing for its record high of at least 103 degrees on Tuesday. So hot, the UK's National Weather Service has issued its first ever red warning for extreme heat, meaning there is a risk to life. An Indiana shopping mall is the scene of the latest mass shooting in the U.S. Police say a gunman shot and killed 3 people before he was shot dead himself by a civilian who was legally carrying a handgun. Harvey Biggs has the latest.
There's violence everywhere you turn and look around. It feels like you're not safe anywhere.
Police say a man armed with a rifle opened fire inside the food court of the Greenwood Park Mall on Sunday. 3 people were killed and 2 others wounded before a bystander with a handgun shot the gunman dead.
The real hero of the day is the citizen that was lawfully carrying a firearm in that food court and was able to stop this shooter almost as soon as he began.
Officials said the injured included a 12-year-old girl. She and the other shooting survivor were hospitalized in stable condition last night. The identities of the victims have yet to be made public, nor have the names of the gunman or the civilian who intervened.
I can tell you that he's a 22-year-old male from Bartholomew County, and that is all that I can release at this time.
Investigators believe the bystander likely prevented a much larger tragedy. They said the gunman brought several magazines full of ammunition with him to the mall. Harvey Biggs, CBS News, New York.
Investigators are still working to develop a possible motive for the shooting. FBI specialists are now at the mall to assist in gathering evidence from the crime scene. And meanwhile, just about 10 miles north of Beech Grove, Indiana, police say they're looking into another shooting that took place overnight at a park, killing one person and injuring three. The two shootings do not appear to be related. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, safety on.
I'm Elise Preston, and I'll tell you how scientists are using brain waves to improve drivers on the racetrack and U.S. roads.
And later, we're making a Cobb macaroni salad in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Technology has helped improve the safety of today's cars, and now researchers are trying to see if technology can also improve the drivers. Elise Preston takes us to the racetrack to find out.
Sebastian Buemi has more than a dozen wins on the Formula E circuit. Racing his all-electric vehicle requires concentration and focus. That's why researchers at Nissan are looking inside his head, analyzing brain activity while he drives in a simulator. We caught up with Buemi during this past weekend's Grand Prix in New York.
To see if we can improve the concentration, make sure we do a better job once we sit in the car.
This is modeled after the car that the Formula E drivers race.
Yeah.
I was able to take a spin in one of Nissan's simulators with researcher Lucian Giorga. It may look like a video game, but this is high science. A device on my head tracks my brain reaction, while the program looks to improve brain function. While I'm driving, the video on the screen occasionally shifts. These deviations are designed to help enhance the unconscious and actually improve a race car driver's performance.
Help their brain be better synchronized and to work at a tiny bit faster speed than it usually does.
Their groundbreaking work is still in the early stages, but the hope is the research leads to training methods to make everyday drivers safer.
If you can make a Formula E driver a better driver, you've got very good chances that you can make an average driver a better driver.
Giorga is now accelerating his testing, looking to boost performance from the racetrack to Main Street. Elise Preston, CBS News, Brooklyn, New York.
That's really cool. Still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
It's summer, and that means we need to come up with a new deli salad to keep everyone excited. Well, we've got just the one to do that. And is it ever tasty?
Super creative. But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
So a couple of minor technical difficulties earlier means that I get a little more time to spend with you right now on our forecast. So going back to the drought situation, again, folks out east around West Plains, they're dealing with severe drought. Good chunk of us under moderate drought, and we still have abnormally dry for another good portion of the region. And unfortunately, it's going to stay that way. And you can see it looks pretty dry at 7th and Rangeline. Temperatures, as promised, warming on up. 89 feels like 90. I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. Dew point 63, humidity at 42%. Temperatures across the region are looking like that. We're getting into the upper 80s to lower 90s across the area. So I want to talk about dew points and humidity. When you look at them, they're up there in some spots, but they're not terrible. We're in the not bad to sticky range in most places. And that's because the air is so dry. So when we factor in those dew points and the humidity, our heat index values are a degree or two higher than what the actual temperature is. That's how dry the air is. So as we head into the future, there's some scattered clouds out to our west. There are some scattered clouds down to our south. There are no clouds immediately around us. Now we'll see some passing clouds, but they're not going to do anything. As we start tomorrow morning, we're going to start off the day in Joplin around 71 degrees, clear skies yet again. And then as we progress through the day, temperatures are going to be even warmer tomorrow, and the winds shifting from the southeast to the southwest. By 5 o'clock, 104 degrees. 104 degrees. And that's the temperature range across the area come tomorrow. Now, that goes back to what I want to talk about humidity and dew point levels. So with them being lower, the heat index values, well, our temperatures, and we'll get to the 7-day too, are going to go way up. Humidity levels will be low. The air will be dry. So we will not be dealing with heat index values of outrageous numbers like 110 to 115 degrees. So here's what we do have. For the counties highlighted in orange in southeast Kansas, we have a heat advisory that runs until Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And then you see this bright purple that's down here. That is an excessive heat warning. And that also runs until Tuesday at 8 for all of northeast Oklahoma. In fact, it's a pretty significant that's the wrong button. Pretty significant chunk, though, of northeast Oklahoma, unfortunately. So let's talk about the rest of today. It's going to be hot, but not as hot as it's about to be. We got a light northeast breeze. We're already sitting near 90 degrees. It's going to warm up to about the mid-90s under completely sunny skies. As we progress into the overnight hours, now because it's dry, because of the dry heat, it allows a couple of things to happen. One, allows our temperatures to get way up there, but at night, it allows us to cool off pretty decently too. So we're going to be starting the day, like I mentioned, at about 70 degrees. So let's take a look at the extended forecast. Starting tomorrow, we have an alert day in effect just because 105 degrees, maybe a pinch warmer in some places as we head into tomorrow. And we haven't seen temperatures this high for almost 10 years. It's toasty outside. It's going to stay that way. So there's a couple of things going on. While we're going to be sitting in the lower 100s for highs, there's a couple of things going on with it being dry. One, with the dry, it's not good for our farmers. It's not good for the drought situation. It's not good for your grass because it's so excessively dry, which also means it's not good if you have any burning plans. So definitely check with your fire department on what their procedure is and what the current burn condition is because it's going to be so dry. But the only positive on the flip side of that coin is with it being so dry through the week and with the air staying so dry, these temperatures are what it's going to be like. It'll be like right now where our heat index is maybe a degree or two warmer than the actual temperature. It won't be so hot, muggy, and miserable. That's why the city of Joplin, for example, has opened up those cooling centers starting today, as we mentioned earlier. In the downtown area, they are open 8 to 5. Check with your community to see if they have any cooling centers open because this heat is going to be oppressive. If you're working outside, you got to make sure you're taking precautions. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're getting into shade. You're getting into a place where you can cool off. Check on your neighbors. Check on the elderly. Keep an eye on kids. I know from their perspective, it's sunny. They want to go out and play. They don't understand how dangerous this heat can be. So even though, like I said, we're not dealing with the humidity, a couple of weeks ago we were, and these were heat index values. And you remember how dangerous that can be. We're talking about actual afternoon temperatures in the lower 100s. So you need to make sure you're taking all the appropriate precautions as we head into the upcoming week. Because you see on the 7-day, there is no relief in sight, at least not for the next several days.
Yep. Just be safe out there. Do what you have to.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Richard Wilson in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Nevada, Missouri, joined the military in 1970. He was stationed out of Fort Leonard Wood. To Sergeant Richard Wilson, we thank you, our four-state hero. We can't decide between the traditional creamy macaroni salad or a fill-you-up Cobb salad. Well, today Howard shows us the best of both worlds with his Cobb macaroni salad in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
With all the summertime cookouts, backyard bashes, and family get-togethers, deli salads are always on the top of the what to serve list. But even the best of them can get pretty boring after a while, so we came up with one that is a cross between the best macaroni salad and a fill-you-up Cobb salad. We start by cooking some elbow macaroni like usual and draining them really well. While it cools, we cut up a couple of hard-boiled eggs, because no Cobb salad is complete without them. Now, to the pasta, we add diced deli ham, a bit of cheddar cheese, along with some cut up red pepper, celery, avocado, and a bit of crumbled bacon. This gets combined with the dressing we made by mixing together some mayo with a splash of vinegar, a little sugar, and a touch of salt. Garnish this with the hard-boiled eggs and more crumbled bacon, and it's ready to serve. And unlike most pasta salads, this is hearty enough to be a meal in itself. I really do hope you'll go online and get the recipe for what we call Cobb macaroni salad, so you can serve it at your next shindig. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a tasty new way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Hey, you stole my
I'd grill up a little chicken and add that to it too. You can find this recipe with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
It looks nice and sunny out there at 7th and Rangeline because it is, and it is also hot, and it's going to get hotter. Highs today pushing into about the mid-90s, and then tomorrow an alert day for that 105 high and lower 100s all week and dry. No relief in sight, at least not for the next several days.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Unpleasant, to say the least.
Just slightly. What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, officials sound the alarm over rising monkeypox cases. And Health Watch details on the current outbreak and vaccine supply. Plus, the Southeast Kansas organization receives a grant to help victims of violence and abuse. And in response to shootings across the nation, Webb City School District makes a series of security upgrades. We're going to take a look at what's in store. Hope you'll join us for those stories, a whole lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.